The obstacle in our path. In the kingdom of Eldoria, nestled between towering mountains and rolling green hills, the roads were well traveled. Merchants, farmers, and courtiers would pass through the village of Belwick on their way to the capital. But one morning, a massive boulder appeared right in the middle of the main road, blocking anyone who wanted to pass. The merchants, wealthy and well-dressed, complained bitterly. How dare the king leave the roads like this? This is a disgrace, they shouted. The courtiers, elegant and high-ranking, were equally annoyed, muttering under their breath about how someone should do something about it. But no one did anything. Not a single person even attempted to move the boulder. This boulder, however, was not a mere obstacle. It was a test that would change the fate of one person, and that person was a humble peasant named Thomas. Thomas, 24 years old, lived on the outskirts of Belwick, just a short walk from the road where the boulder had appeared. He was a simple man, working as a farmer to support his family. Though he didn't have much, Thomas was always willing to lend a hand to anyone in need. His personality was kind, practical, and focused on solutions rather than complaints. One early morning, as Thomas was heading to the village to sell his crops, he noticed the massive rock blocking the road. He had heard the grumbling from the merchants and courtiers as they passed by, but instead of standing around complaining, Thomas decided to act. He grabbed a sturdy wooden tool from his cart, rolled up his sleeves, and began pushing against the rock. As Thomas worked, a group of merchants in fine clothing passed by on their way to the capital. They stopped, looked at Thomas, and scoffed. "What is that peasant doing?" one of them sneered. "Someone should be fixing this, not him." A courtier nearby shook her head, adjusting her ornate hat. "The king should have the road cleared. This is an embarrassment." "But why should we do anything about it?" The wealthy merchants and courtiers all murmured in agreement, but none of them offered any help. Instead, they walked away, continuing their journey to the capital, leaving Thomas alone with the boulder. But he didn't mind their words. He wasn't working for them. He was working for something greater. Hours passed, and the sun began to set. Thomas, exhausted and covered in dirt, had made only a little progress. He was just about to give up when he noticed a figure approaching. It was the king himself, wearing a simple cloak, not his royal attire. The king had been watching from afar, observing the reactions of his people. "You seem to be struggling," the king said, walking up to Thomas. "Why bother? There's nothing to gain from moving this rock." Thomas wiped his brow and looked up at the king. "Your Majesty, this rock is in the way of everyone who needs to get through. If I don't move it, then who will?" he asked simply. The king smiled, impressed by Thomas's initiative. "Do you know why I placed this boulder here?" he asked. Thomas shook his head, genuinely curious. "I placed it to see who would complain and who would take action," the king said. "You are the first person who has shown real effort. You've worked through the day without asking for help and with no expectation of reward." The king reached into his cloak and pulled out a purse. He handed it to Thomas. "For your effort, I give you this gold. Not just as a reward, but as a reminder that those who take initiative, even when faced with challenges, are the ones who create real change." Thomas opened the purse and saw gleaming gold coins inside. His eyes widened, but he didn't speak for a moment. After a long silence, he looked at the king and said, "I didn't do it for gold, Your Majesty. I did it because it was the right thing to do." The king nodded. "Exactly. Your effort has earned you more than just gold. It has earned you respect and the understanding that obstacles, when faced with initiative, often lead to greater rewards than we could ever imagine." The moral of the story of Thomas and the boulder is one that teaches us an invaluable lesson. Obstacles are often not roadblocks, but opportunities in disguise. The boulder that blocked the road could have been seen as a challenge, but Thomas chose to view it as a chance to make a difference. While others complained and waited for someone else to solve the problem, Thomas took action. 1. Obstacles are opportunities. Sometimes, the biggest challenges in our path are the greatest chances for growth and improvement. 2. Inaction versus initiative. Complaining doesn't solve problems. It's the people who take action, like Thomas, who create lasting change. 3. Effort is rewarded. Even when we don't expect anything in return, our hard work can lead to unexpected rewards, both tangible and intangible. 4. Perspective matters. What others see as an inconvenience can be an opportunity for those willing to put in the work. The call to action: embrace your obstacles. Now I challenge you, when faced with a difficult situation, don't just stand there, complaining or waiting for someone else to fix it. Be like Thomas. Take the first step. Embrace the obstacle in your path and see it as an opportunity to grow, learn, and create change. So, the next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, what can I do to solve this? And remember, the real reward isn't always gold. It's the satisfaction of knowing you took initiative and the respect you gain by being the one who made things happen. If you're inspired by Thomas's story, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others, take action toward your own goals, and watch how the world responds. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that challenge you to be the best version of yourself. See you next time.